Every therapist will eventually ask a grown man the same question. What did that little boy need that he never got? And almost every time the room gets quiet, not because he does not know the answer, but because nobody has ever asked him before. Nobody asks men about the little boy they used to be. We ask about their careers, their responsibilities, their families, their plans. But very rarely do we ask about the boy underneath all of that, the one who got hurt, the one who got scared, the one who learned lessons that he is still carrying decades later. And somewhere in the process of becoming a man, that boy got buried so deep that the man forgot he was ever there. But he is there. He has always been there. And if you want to understand why some men struggle to ask for help, why some shut down when relationships get too close, why some carry anger they cannot explain, or why some feel numb when they should be feeling something, you have to go back and find him. That is what this conversation is about, healing the inner child in men, one of the most important and most avoided conversations in men's emotional health today. Welcome back to Ife Random Reflections. I am Ife Luwani. We are in week 3 of our June Men's Month series, and today we are talking about the boy behind the man. If you are new here, subscribe and join us. We wrap up this series next week, and trust me, you will not want to miss the final conversation. Now let me start with something simple. When a little boy learns that his emotions are inconvenient, he does not stop having emotions. He just learns to hide them, and children learn fast, much faster than we realize. A boy cries and gets told to stop being dramatic. A boy gets scared and gets told to toughen up. A boy wants comfort and gets told he is too old for that. Nobody sits him down and says, "Your feelings do not matter." But over time, that is exactly what he learns, and once he learns it, he starts adapting. Some boys become quiet, some become tough. Some become funny because making people laugh feels safer than being vulnerable. Some become achievers because success earns approval. Some become helpers because taking care of everyone else keeps attention away from their own pain. Different strategies, same goal, survival. And before anybody misunderstands this conversation, let me say something important. You do not need to have had a terrible childhood to carry childhood wounds. A lot of people hear conversations like this and immediately think, my parents were not abusive. That may be true. This is not about blame. Most parents were doing the best they could with what they knew. The point is not blame, the point is awareness. Because a wound does not stop being a wound simply because nobody intended to create it. Sometimes the deepest wounds come from ordinary moments, the moments nobody remembers. The moments that seemed small at the time, a boy feeling unseen, a boy feeling like he had to earn affection, a boy learning that vulnerability made people uncomfortable. A boy deciding that being needed was safer than being known. Those lessons stay, and they often follow him into adulthood. The thing is, childhood wounds do not disappear when a boy becomes a man. They grow up with him, they simply change clothes. The little boy who felt like he had to get everything right becomes the man who cannot rest because perfectionism never lets him. The boy who learned not to trust people becomes the man who struggles with intimacy. The boy who never felt emotionally safe becomes the man who keeps everyone at arm's length. The boy who felt unseen becomes the man who spends his entire life chasing validation. And sometimes he does not even realize that is what he is doing. He just knows he is tired. Tired of carrying everything alone, tired of feeling disconnected, tired of pretending he is okay, and maybe this part is hitting home for somebody listening right now. Maybe people look at you and think you have it all together. Maybe you are the strong one, the dependable one, the one everybody calls when they need help. But when was the last time somebody asked how you were really doing? Not the polite answer, the real answer, because a lot of men become experts at carrying weight. What they never learn is how to put it down, and eventually that weight starts showing up everywhere, in relationships, in friendships, in parenting, in work, in the conversations they avoid, in the emotions they suppress, in the exhaustion they cannot explain. Now here is the part that often surprises people. These behaviors are not character flaws, they are survival strategies. At one point, they served a purpose. At one point, they helped a little boy navigate a world that did not always feel emotionally safe. The problem is that the strategy stayed long after the danger was gone. The childhood is over, but the defense mechanism never got the memo. It is still protecting, still guarding, still assuming every emotional risk will end in pain, and that creates a strange situation. The man wants connection, but the strategy wants protection. The man wants intimacy, but the strategy wants distance. The man wants peace, but the strategy keeps preparing for threats that are no longer there. That is why healing matters, not because there is something wrong with you, but because some part of you is still responding to yesterday. Healing the inner child is not about living in the past. It is not about spending every day digging through old memories. It is about understanding how the past is still showing up in the present, and then choosing differently. It starts with something very simple: compassion. Looking at the younger version of yourself and saying, I understand why you learned that. I understand why you became afraid. I understand why you built those walls. I understand why you thought this was the only way to survive, and thank you. Thank you for getting us this far, but you do not have to do this alone anymore. Imagine hearing that as a child. Imagine hearing, you are not weak for needing help. You are not difficult for having emotions. You are not a burden. You do not have to earn love. You do not have to perform for acceptance. You are enough, not when you succeed, not when you achieve, not when you prove yourself, right now, exactly as you are. That is the truth many boys never heard. And it is the truth many men are still waiting to believe. The boy survived so the man could exist. Now the man has to go back and tell him it is safe to rest. Before we go, I want to hear from you. What is one thing the little boy version of you needed to hear that nobody ever said? You do not have to write a paragraph. You do not have to tell your life story. Even one sentence is enough. I will be reading the comments. If this conversation resonated with you, like the video, share it with a man who may need to hear it. And if you have not subscribed yet, do that now, because next week we close out this Men's Month series with a conversation that does not get enough attention. Emotional rest is not weakness. It is resistance. I am Ifuluwani. Take care of yourself, and remember this: the boy survived. Now it is your turn to take it from here.